You're listening to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast, where we explore the intersection of people, business, and technology. This year, we're adding a new show to our lineup, The AI Advantage, to help you learn the skills you need to thrive in the AI era.
Welcome to the Power Platform Show. Thanks for joining me today. I hope today's guest inspires and educates you on the possibilities of the Microsoft Power Platform. Now, let's get on with the show. In this episode, we'll be focusing on mega apps or anchor apps on the Power Platform and where they're being used around the world in very large, mission-critical implementations. Today's guest is from Amsterdam, North Holland in the Netherlands. He works at Avanade as a group manager. He's a solution architect by trade. He has been in the IT industry for more than 15 years, always focusing on line of business solutions with Microsoft technologies. He had the opportunity to work across the globe and help many large-scale digital transformations. Last time I met him in person was here in New Zealand, where he used to live. But as you can see, he now lives in the Netherlands. You can find links to his bio and socials, etc., in the show notes for this episode. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be here.
Good to have you back on the show. I know my podcast recording are in the 630, 40 type episode number, and the last time you were on was episode 359. So it was a wee while ago.
In a while, yeah.
Done a few podcasts since. So why don't we start with an update with Food, Family and Fun, being that your world has totally changed since we last talked. You were in the Southern Hemisphere, now you're in the Northern Hemisphere. You're in a tiny country, now you're in a massive country based on its influence, the Netherlands. Tell us what's going on in your world.
Yeah, so basically, two young kids, right? And then we reached a point where we needed to decide, where should we settle and where life should be, right? So my wife being from Europe, right, and none of us being from New Zealand, although we love New Zealand, it's pretty much the furthest place from both our families. So we needed a more long-term plan, right? And we were in the stage, okay, either we really invest in New Zealand and buy a home and, live the Kiwi life, or we start looking for a more long-term plan, especially for the kids, right? It's once they start school. So, we ended up here in Netherlands, Amsterdam, going back to a place, Avanade, where I used to work. So somewhere quite familiar. And it was easy for my wife to get work in her field here as well. So it just seemed like a good option. Yeah. And so far it's been almost 2 years, and we're loving it here.
Time flies, man. 2 years. That's incredible.
2 years already. Yep.
What was the logistics element of moving? You originally came from Canada, right? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. From Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you came to New Zealand. Tell me about the logistics to moving to the Netherlands. Did you already have your job? I take it you're already hired.
Yeah, exactly. So in Montreal is where I started sort of my journey with Avanade, right? So I worked there through a few implementations. With Avanade, I moved to Hong Kong, where I worked on another huge implementation there. And then, after a couple of years in Hong Kong, we decided to try out and visit that part of the world, so Oceania, New Zealand, and Australia. And then when it was time to settle, I basically got a hold of Avanade again. And there was being in the Power Platform space, I guess one of the perks is, there's a lack of senior resource a bit everywhere. So I had that opportunity to sort of, choose, I guess, where to go, if that makes sense.
So Avanade, correct me if I'm wrong, would be similar to the way IBM, my experience in being in IBM, in that although you work for Avanade in those other geographies, they are quite independent Avanades, if you like, in the Netherlands, right? You don't sit under a global umbrella of the Power Platform practice. Are they all individually run practices in each of these geographies?
Sort of. For sure, the people locally, let's just say, have a priority to service the local customers, right? Or usually we try to service, but we do help out from a capability more globally, right, to the overall practice, right, and or across the different regions, right? But generally, yes, each country have their own P&L and their own objectives and stuff, right, following a wider strategy.
How easy is it for you, though, to, let's say, if somebody in the US said, we need Eric to present to this customer because Eric's a guru on Power Platform for banking, as an example. How easy is it for, and I'm talking about the logistics behind the scenes of how companies run, for you to get intercharged, behind, from Avanade, Netherlands to Avanade, North America? How easy is it for that charge back to happen internally? Do you have an easy way of that happening?
Yes, yeah. There's definitely some processes for there. We're over 50,000 employees, and that happens quite often, right? And it happened to me even when I went to Hong Kong, right? They needed a solution architect specialized in that time Dynamics 365, which is the old name of the Power Platform. There's processes in place to sort of fast track these type of things.
So that was never at IBM. If they wanted me to work on a project in Germany, for example, the ball ache of trying to get my manager to agree with that, because my manager wouldn't be able to clip the ticket on me for doing that. And his manager wouldn't be able to, and his manager right up to country and then region level couldn't clip the ticket if you're doing this inter-country or inter-geography type thing. And so it just became too hard as a model of working.
Yeah, but we are smaller than IBM, right? We are backed up by Microsoft and Accenture, but the beauty of Avanade is we're really focused on Microsoft and we're smaller, so we got a bit more agility there, right?
Valid.
And that happens quite a lot because being small, being focused on the Microsoft space, especially Azure and Power Platform and Dynamics, right? That sort of need is not, it's quite often. It does happen.
I suppose I tie you with the same brush as Accenture when I say that. So rather than,
Yeah, no, and that's the beauty of it, I think, being Avanade, right? And why, let's say, I prefer to stay Avanade.
Yeah, makes sense.
We got the best of both worlds, I guess.
So I want to talk today about mega projects. And this came about through multiple discussions I've had around the concern with enterprise architects not considering the Power Platform an enterprise solution. And the more I've drilled into this and all the big, companies around the world that I've been able to engage with, the conversation has been that, well, if anybody can build low-code apps, there's no way that this can be an enterprise application, because Susie in accounting is going to have no idea of application lifecycle management. They're going to have no idea of the rigor of testing and iterating, etc. And because Microsoft has pitched this platform as, you don't need any skills, anybody can kind of do it. I've noticed that enterprise architects go, okay, that will be the tool that we relegate to like a similar tool set to Excel, but we won't put it in the same category as SAP, or we won't put it in the same category as Pega, or we won't put it in the same category as even ServiceNow, which is another low-code platform, to a degree. And so I feel that Microsoft has, to a degree, done themselves a disservice in saying that, hey, anybody can do this. Your grandmother could do this kind of thing. And that then the more traditional parts of organizations in that enterprise architecture space has said, shoot, we're not going to put enterprise workloads on this platform because obviously it doesn't have the rigor. Often they don't know that it sits on Azure. Oftentimes they have nobody's talked to them about, the full robustness of ALM. Nobody's talked to them about, this is an enterprise grade platform. They just see low code, anybody can do this. That's not an enterprise play. And so what I want to do is a podcast series, and I've had a bunch of folks on to talk about real large deployments around the world. So, the 22nd largest deployment in the UK, for example, Network Rail, I think, big implementations. We've had Rami on talking about passports in New Zealand and the entire passport and visa system run on that. You were involved in that one as well, were you?
Yeah. I was one of the solution architects for the first and second phase, yeah.
So we're talking about these are mission critical. They affect millions and millions of people's in the impact of them. And there's, how do you classify something as enterprise? For me, the way I classify it is that if we turned it off tomorrow, would the shit hit the fan? Is it that enterprise in nature? And so it could be that it has lots of users, but that might not be the definition of it. It could be that it influences tens of millions of dollars in revenue, going through, but it only might have, in the case of passports, only about 600 people licenses, but yet millions of users that use, through the portals and stuff in that process. So with that in mind, give me your top 3 biggies that you've worked on. If you can't mention the company names, tell me the industries, the geographies, and the kind of the high-level stats and why the Power Platform was chosen.
Yeah, so for sure, from an Avanade perspective, I can't really talk about the actual customer, but just to talk high level about some, right? In Hong Kong, right, I worked on the Power Platform implementation, but back then it was Dynamic 365.
Yeah.
Of one of the biggest organization and oldest organization in Hong Kong, right? We talk about, if my memory serves me right, like over 100 million customers. Every day we would get over 200K campaign responses, right? In the system. It was huge, right? Yeah. So some as well in New Zealand, you mentioned, there's birth, death, marriages, and all the citizenship requests and passports, right? All that sits on the Power Platform. Right. But Rami probably talked about that as well in New Zealand, right? I worked for a few years at the bank, Westpac, right? And there's already a few articles on that,
yes,
right? But Power Platform at Westpac, which is one of the largest bank in Oceania, was one of the chosen platform for the strategic platform in-house, right? So if we're talking about, all business banking, not the core banking platform, but everything around it, right? For credit applications, right? And one, not all cases, to manage entities and business profiles, right? All that was all managed through the Power Platform. As well, here in Netherlands, right? I help one of the biggest organizations here, right? We have over 30 terabytes of data, right? Over 200 environments as well, right?
Wow.
So, of course, it's enterprise scale. And it's funny because there's actually a recent thread online, right, from a few MVPs that we posed at how other companies see the Power Platform, right, and Dynamics. And it's kind of like based on what they see and their offerings, they see that as actually an enterprise scale platform. So it's strange in a way, right? And I find that interesting that perhaps enterprise architects within the companies see Power Platform as not enterprise grade. However, other companies, right, and their offerings see Power Platform as an enterprise grade and not as sort of a small, medium type of offering for small, medium companies.
Yeah. But this comes down to positioning, right? Because my background was in Dynamics, ultimately CRM originally, model-driven development, and we would take that product and we wouldn't do customer relationship management with it, the CRM that it was out of the box. We'd build other solutions for organizations, right? And these were big implementations, right? And that are still in use today, right? 6, 10, 15 years later, they're still in use today because they are critical to running these organizations. For years, we asked for the Power Platform and we just wanted a SKU that it gave us. When I say we asked for the Power Platform, we didn't want the Dynamics layer. We wanted the ability to do model-driven application development with us deciding the entities or the tables, right, that were in the systems. We got that, but also with getting that with the Power Platform, we got this low-code, anybody can build story, which is 100% a good story. I'm not denying that. But I think that in parallel to that should have been the story of the enterprise nature of this tooling that was also told. And the nature of enterprise architects, right, they don't necessarily get down in the weeds. They're not asking those type of questions. They're going, what a fit for purpose for the major building blocks of our organization. And unless they get an educational tour below the marketing message, they are not seeing that enterprise story. And what I see people like Pega go in and do, what I see people like ServiceNow go in and do, they talk to the enterprise architects, right? They get that story bedded in that they're an enterprise play, and this is never a question. The biggest one I came across this was a big mining company in Australia where they decided that it was a non-strategic platform, even though they're the largest license holder of premium Power Platform licenses, because that was felt from IT that it was not an enterprise platform, because that's the level of detail or learning they had around it.
Yeah, of course, it's a bit of marketing too, but I think there's really two key scenarios when I think we talk about a Power Platform, right? And of course, I'm including Dynamics in this, right? It's all based on the same backend. And I think this is where perhaps people are getting confused, is that there's a Power Platform as the chosen platform, meaning that we're going to build an enterprise solution on top of that platform, right? Typically built by a partner or in-house, but it's a chosen platform that they're building it and they're following, pretty mature enterprise processes, right, to bring that to life. And then there's the other scenario where it's that, end user personal productivity platform, right? Their new Excel, right? And that's possibly what people see it, or even if we look up what Power Platform is, we probably, without knowing it, get more that perception, right? It's that, I think what do people call it? Loco 3.0? Or it's that,
that's it.
New Excel type where people build their own little apps for their department or their own productivity, right? And while this is true, I think most of at least implementation I'm part of was the first scenario where we deliberately chose, right, or the customer chose a Power Platform to build their enterprise solution on, their enterprise systems on, right? But following proper whatever ALM processes and whatnot.
Have you been involved in projects where you have helped influence the Power Platform and Dynamics being accepted as over other vendor applications?
Yes, for sure. I cannot talk about exact customers, but definitely let's say over.
But who are the vendors that you're up against?
Salesforce is a key one, right? Yep. Salesforce is a key one. Tiara Manaki for New Zealand internal affairs. I forgot if Salesforce was in the shortlisted technology stack, but it might have been as well. And at Westpac too, right? At Westpac, they have quite a bit of strategic platforms, and they're always going through an exercise of, narrowing that down, right? But Power Platform always makes it in the list. And in fact, Westpac Australia, what was it, a year ago or 2 years ago, recently announced, and it made news as well, that they chosen Power Platform as one of their key strategic business application platforms. So definitely, but Salesforce is the one that commonly, of course, comes up.
When you talk about it, then how do you educate that the Power Platform should be the choice?
Yeah, well, one is, especially the companies already invested in Microsoft, we try to articulate and show, right, that the fact that already invested in Microsoft, they're already in Azure, right, from a money-wise, right, it's going to save time and money, have a cleaner sort of architecture with a Power Platform. So if they're already invested in Microsoft, that's an easier one to sort of showcase. And the rest, for me, is just show, right? So if they want something, we prototype, sort of, I say it from an old boss, show versus tell. And typically when they see it in action, when they have a feel, when they actually contribute to the overall, I guess, prototype, then that talks a long way, right?
Yeah. What do you see is in the last 2 years of your view of things, the impact of generative AI now having on the Power Platform?
To be honest, yeah, a lot. And there's been quite a bit going on, but I was going to say, to be honest, I haven't really implemented in production a lot of generative AI related features on the Power Platform.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on, but it hasn't, if I could say, really hit me yet. Right?
Yeah.
There hasn't been. I've been, we're working on larger projects and things like that, right? We're still working on stuff from years ago, if I could say.
Yeah. Do you think that will change in 2025?
For sure. I think, how that's going to materialize and everything, I'm not sure, but for sure, even within the company, right, where, generative AI is at the core and at the center of everything that we're trying to do and restructure it and all. So it's definitely going to have an impact somehow, right, on the way we do business and the way we service our customers and on the solutions that we implement.
Do you, do you find yourself using it yourself personally for anything in particular?
Yeah. Again, not quite. Yeah. I tried, right, to be a good person and, look at all the new tools, right? But I have tried, right, to use all the co-pilots within the Power Platform space to enhance my productivity. And no, so far it hasn't really helped. So I use more the internal co-pilots for emails and, summary of documents and things like that.
Yes.
Right.
So the M365 type experience.
Type of scenarios, right? But the ones from Power Platform, whether it's Power Automate, the Power Apps ones, it hasn't really added a lot of value to me. And I don't think I'm the key audience of that yet as well. So, yeah.
Have you looked at any of the new stuff, the planner type feature that's coming out that, will help you pretty much build ERDs and persona and interface and...
Yeah, I've tried, I flirted with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I haven't used it in the real sort of life where I actually took the output of that, tweaked it and used it. But definitely the new ERD sort of features is cool. It's pretty nice, right? It has a lot of of promises, right? So let's see where that goes.
Mm. What are your goals for 2025? What do you see? Where will you be at the end of this year, Eric? What do you think will happen?
Oh, the questions mark. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, same as where I am now. Yeah, I guess hopefully I have the chance to, get more into sort of AI and all the Power Platform agents and all the co-pilot stuff. Hopefully there's opportunities there to develop some solutions with it. But no major changes. Stay healthy. Hopefully kids stay healthy. Keep delivering sort of innovative solutions with the Power Platform, right?
Yeah.
Hope the trend continues, right?
Nice.
And
To wrap up, tell me about what advice would you have to enterprise architects around the Power Platform?
I would say, to joke a bit, don't look at the Microsoft website to learn about the Power Platform, right? Talk to MVPs, talk to experts, talk to people who actually implemented some of that. Probably first they probably get a better picture, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly, rather than looking publicly at what's the Power Platform. Yeah, talk to a partner, perhaps, right? They probably have, they've implemented it. They have that experience and could help perhaps explain a bit more what it is and what it could and not do and etc.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If there's a guest you'd like to see on the show, please message me on LinkedIn. If you want to be a supporter of the show, please check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Stay safe out there and shoot for the stars.
Are you ready to accelerate your career in the Microsoft ecosystem? The 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, created by Mark Smith, is your opportunity to create a personalized pathway to success. Join over 1,200 alumni from more than 70 countries who have achieved remarkable results, from promotions to new job opportunities. Take it from Nathan, who said, "Since completing the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, I've become an MVP in business applications and doubled my income." Or from Parves, who shares, "I've never felt as inspired or energized about my career as I do now." Sign up at arcor.nz365guide.com. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you use the code podcast, you'll get 10% off.